You wake up, you check your phone, brush your teeth, shower, eat something, drive off to work, school, university. There you start your studies, your work. You chat with your colleagues and friends. You study, learn, work. Have lunch. Drive back home. Have dinner. Maybe do some sports, watch a movie. And then you go to bed. You repeat the same cycle day in and day out. You do all these things automatically, mechanically, and sometimes without a single conscious thought. Think how much of your time every day is lived consciously. Is there even a single conscious thought, a single conscious moment in your average day? Is it a moment, a few minutes, maybe an hour? Whatever it is, it certainly isn't more than a fraction of your time. Your body and mind go through the motions by themselves, while you are not even there. You are somewhere else, daydreaming, thinking of your problems, of what needs to be done, of what you will do tomorrow, later, or what you did yesterday, what you did wrong yesterday, what happened yesterday. You are always living in the illusions of past and future, instead of living in the now. So your mind is constantly just feeding fantasies, simulations, issues and questions. You're not actually living, you're just dreaming. You live your day like you live a dream. You act unconsciously, you speak unconsciously, you think unconsciously. You react mechanically to all the things that happen to you. Sometimes, even when you're taking decisions, you're not conscious with what you're doing, and you take them unconsciously while doing something else. And I know exactly how it feels and how it is, because I used to live that exact same life internally. And it was up until I changed my way of living and being that I never noticed how many things I am missing, and how much the common way of living, of going through the motions, literally feels like a dream compared to living authentically in the moment and with conscious presence. In this video, I will show you the causes for this universal unconsciousness. Why it is absolutely necessary for you to wake up into reality, and how I went about escaping unconsciousness for good. How I started opening my eyes and actually living in reality. The main problem we all have is the ignorance we hold towards the real world. We are arrogant to the depths of this great reality. We never pay the needed attention to see and observe things as they truly are. What every single one of us does instead is put created labels, self-created labels onto every single object we come across, be it internally or physically. This is either a good label, a bad label, or a neutral label. So we chase everything we feel is good. We fear and run from everything that we think is bad. And we ignore 90% of the other neutral existing reality. What we should really strive for is to see reality for what it is, unfiltered, unbiased, without any labels or assumptions. Every day is a different day, every moment is a new moment, every now is a new now. A moment never repeats itself. Therefore, we should always respect the moment and embrace it, consciously noticing every single last detail. That way, we can move straight onto the next moment without letting any ballast compound and exist within us. Because if we could consciously live from moment to moment, suffering would instantly be eliminated. There would be no trauma or illness or any other mental hardships, because we would be processing reality as it happens. For us, things run in a way where we are constantly 24/7 in a mental movie, living only through a disrupted mirror of actual reality. Therefore, when unexpected or impactful events take place, we are so wrapped up in a fantasy of our mind that we can't process the events happening in the moment that they actually happen. We then take those impressions and events inside of us, where they will wait until we take out the time to process them consciously. However, because we never actually take the time to consciously revisit past impressions and digest them properly and fully, they just compound into more unconsciousness, more daydreaming, and finally more trauma. It then happens that sooner or later we burn out, we become depressed, we fall into addictions, into anger, into hate, into negativity and suffering, because we just can't cope with all the unconsciousness anymore. People wonder how there can be wars, how there can be murderers, how there can be people consciously harming other people, when inside of them resides just the same exact patterns and the same exact unconsciousness that leads people to harm others in the end. It's the same ignorance, the same blindness, the same illusion, lust, hate, or greed. Now, to change, we have to fully comprehend the force that actually pulls us away from the now. The force that is the root of all suffering, of all negativity, of all pain, hate, greed, all the sins, is commonly described as the ego, or better fitting, the plurality of the egos, as there is not just one, but many separate egos that reside within your consciousness. They create what arrives within the mind as what we call thought. These egos can be thought of as broadcasting stations that want you to tune in to their radio, into their thoughts, to nurture from your attention and energy. They could also be described as a large number of different individual personalities, of people with their own desires, pains, plans, and fears. Their goal is not only to get your attention, but to make you experience reality out of their eyes, to live through the ego and be identified with it. This might sound a bit abstract right now and far-fetched, but if you deeply reflect, you'll realize what I'm talking about. How can it be that sometimes we seem to change our whole being, our personality, from one moment to the next? One moment we feel full of love and joy, and in the next we are like focused on ourselves again and insecure and maybe stressed, or how you have so many different streams of thought in your mind in every single moment. And these are not thoughts of the same theme or pattern, but many different patterns, many different streams. But at the same time, it's not single thoughts, but it's, like I said, it's streams. It's single, distinct streams, patterns, repeating patterns. Like it's the same people putting information in again and again, day in and day out, trying to get you to become them and live through their eyes. we unconsciously feed into many different channels at once, most of the time. And this is because you are first unconscious of what goes on internally, and two, you are identified with thought. When we let ourselves slip and be identified with anything, we nurture a channel, we nurture an ego. It is the unconsciousness, the lack of focus on the present moment, internally and externally, that makes us fall straight into ego. Many people believe that they are what they think, and they seem to be unable to flee certain thoughts because they're very identified with them. In reality, this couldn't be further from the truth, because you are observing these thoughts, and there is always that which is being observed and the one that is the observer. So if the thoughts are the object of observance, they can't be the one observing, which means that you are something else, something distinctly different from the egos of your thoughts. The observer can't be one and the same as the observed. Whenever we forget this logical conclusion, when we start to conceptualize the self as some mix of all these egos, every time we say I and me, or talking about ourselves in any way, shape, or form, we are feeding an ego. As Jesus himself has said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. Denying the self means denying the ego. Dying to selves means letting the egos die. So, to truly awaken to reality, to the present, we need to let go of all attachments and concepts we hold, up until the concept of self. This might sound really painful and difficult, but in the end, you're not losing yourself, your real self. You're just giving up on the conceptualizations and false images you hold of yourself, of reality, and of other people. So you're just letting the thought forms go to let you experience your true self and true reality more authentically. When walking this path, you will quickly realize that you become lighter and more peaceful the more you let go of illusionary ideas. By now, it might still be unclear what differentiates your true self from the egos. One way to explain it accurately is through the basis of emotion. Every emotion that stems from the ego is of a lower frequency, while the emotion that stems from your core, from your truer being, is always of a higher frequency. For that, we can look at the map of consciousness by the great author David R. Hawkins. So we see the scale of from lower frequency emotions to higher frequency emotions, and at the bottom we see some of the 7 deadly sins, even we could say, like greed, grief, anger, hate, fear, desire, right? Which are pictured in the sins in a way. And these are all emotions where the sense of self is deeply involved, right? I want this, I hate this, I dislike this, I'm afraid of X. And in the higher emotions like love, joy, peace, these are states where there is no true sense of self, right? There is just love. Love for another person, love for yourself, for the world. Or peace. When you're in peace, when you're meditating deeply, right? You don't hold the concept of self in this moment. You're just in these pure states, and in those states of consciousness, there is no real I. I hope this could clear up some of your misunderstandings and clear up what is the character of ego and the character of true, real self. Now the question remains, how do we actually awaken? How do we let go of ego and finally free our consciousness? Some people might say in New Age terms, raise our frequency and let go of lower vibrations. Or simply put, we can do all this by increasing our presence. Pretty simple, right? So presence still means depth of our awareness in the now. When we can become more aware, more focused, more present in the moment and in the now, in physical reality and in internal reality, we become lighter, we become more loveful, more joyful, and less driven by egos. To confidently walk this proper path and actually follow the steps I've been talking about, I've laid out a simple and clear step-by-step guide, 5-step path you can take to free yourselves from unconsciousness and egos if practiced consistently. The first step is to contemplate on the true reality of what and who you are. Remember, you are just the observer, the one who directs where attention and energy flows. In its perfect form, our true core is really, really simple. Now, the second step is to now fully take notice of all the patterns that are not truly you, of things that hold you down, that keep you trapped in the illusion. Those that come from excessive reliance on a false sense of self and of physical reality, of materialism, maybe. You need to understand that every time you mentally picture yourself in any context with any attachments, you are directly feeding the ego and unconsciousness. Be it a desire for external sensations, the attachment to the self, to external objects, identification with what happens to you in reality, or simple conceptualization of yourself, of others, etc. So, whenever you say, I want this, this hurts me, I fear this, it's only illusions. These are all illusions. Just let reality exist without you conceptualizing it. I know all this might sound hard, but in reality, you're just letting go of this constant work that you don't need. This work of putting a concept and a label on everything you encounter. You know, once you realize that you can stop and just let things be and let yourself be and let go of all the false illusions, life gets so much easier. And you can finally start to put your focus only to those things that benefit you and that you want to do, that you want to think about, you know, that you actually need. So instead of mentally saying, for example, this hurts me or I'm suffering, you could also just say, there is pain. And as easy as that, we are disengaged. By simply observing it, we can decide how the sensation will affect us. And if we even want to put energy and focus into this direction, or if we just let it go and put our focus somewhere else, right? That doesn't mean that we ignore it. Like I said before, we don't want to ignore 99% of things. We just want to take notice of them observe them, and then let them be. The third step of your journey is to start observing your mind without identifying. For that, you simply need to live with presence and let go of the concepts of time, of past and future. These are all illusions. Alright? The only thing that truly will ever exist is the now, the present moment. There will never be anything else than the now. Really. Every moment is the now. Everything that exists is the now. There will only ever be now, today. That is why people say don't talk about tomorrow and put your tasks to tomorrow. Just do them now if you can, because tomorrow will always be the illusion of the mind to say, I won't do it, I will do it in the imaginary tomorrow. And tomorrow is the now again. So if you don't do things in the now, you will never actually ever do them. Circling back, to live more presently in the moment, just pick up the simple habit of meditation. I will put you a link down below to the first video I did, and there I have a simple step-by-step method of mindfulness meditation, which will truly help you to increase mindfulness, presence, self-control, self-observation, observation of reality, focus. Everything you need will improve with constant daily meditation. The fourth step is to do a simple retrospective exercise every evening. This step is necessary to proactively fight against the suffering of the ego, right? The claws of the ego, the unconsciousness the ego puts us into. Okay, so in this exercise, you start like a normal meditation, you relax, and then you start to visualize your whole day from the moment you woke up to the moment you're in now. And you go through the day, through all the things that happened, and you observe not only what happened, but the state of minds you are in during those moments. Basically, every day you will have one moment that will stick out to you, and where you will realize that you did something you didn't want to do. You said something or you acted in a way that now retrospectively didn't seem fitting or harmed someone else or harmed yourself or whatever, right? Or maybe just simple procrastination. Just some moment where you felt like you were not your true self. Okay, and you take this moment, you observe it, and you try to understand this ego that took hold of you in this moment. You ask yourself, or you ask the ego what it wanted in the moment. You think what you wanted, what you needed, what you feared in this moment, and why you did what you did, why you said what you said. And just try to observe your mind state in this precious moment as deep as you can. And simply observing and intuitively understanding an impactful moment is already all the work basically you need to dissolve the egos slowly, right? You just need to comprehend them, to let yourself go of them, right? Because if you understand it, you won't fall into the same traps again and again. It is because we never actually make the effort to understand and observe and let our internal states be that keep us trapped in them. Because we are scared. We are scared of who we might really be in reality in this unconsciousness. And we are afraid that our picture of self, our sense of self gets harmed in a way that we have to yeah, that we actually have to reflect consciously and realize maybe we're not who we think we are. So don't be scared of looking yourself in the eyes and understanding yourself, because this is the only way to change and to rise up and to become the better version of yourself. Last but not least, step number 5 is that we have to accept everything that is, everything that happens, everything that occurs without any resistance or strain. Resistance is the anchor of suffering that stops all of our progress. We have to judge nothing and accept everything as it is, be it life, yourself, your egos, and most importantly, the present moment, the essence of the present moment, the state you're in, what you are doing, what you have to do, the people around you, everything. And this applies not only to the internal work, but the same goes for any external progress. When you embrace the current reality as it is, you can quickly and effortlessly change it to whatever you desire. Change can only happen after acceptance. We have to accept every ego and love every ego, every part of ourselves, of our personality, of our true self also, just as you love your next one, right? Your friends, your family, all your loved ones. Love yourself, accept yourself like you accept others, and accept them now in the same way you accept yourself. Okay, don't halt any progress by resisting anything, and as soon as you catch yourself resisting, as you feel the suffering from resisting anything, just let go of it. Because suffering in its truest form is simple resistance to everything, anything that is. Okay, so stop resisting and stop suffering. Okay, now I hope that I could help you once again. I hope you can effortlessly and without any resistance start walking the path. And I'm telling you, if you follow the simple 5-step pathway, the simple guide, if you actively, proactively try to dissolve your egos and get closer to your true self, closer to higher vibrations, like some new age people would say, I'm promising you, I'm telling you that you will be experiencing and experiencing joy and love and all the positive high emotions like you've never felt before. Okay, in the same way you can also create and achieve much faster, more efficiently, right? Everything improves because you can just act and direct your focus, your energy more consciously, and you also just have more energy the more egos you free yourself from, right? Because all your energy, most of your consciousness of your being is trapped in these egos, right? Like a genie in a bottle, like in the Aladdin movie. So we dissolve this bottle by just observing the ego for what it is, observing this whole bottle, this whole ego, what it wants, what it fears, how it acts out. Just observe these single egos in themselves as they occur. And you will gain like more and more power on the way. It will compound until you can create and focus and live naturally as we were all meant to be. Right? Continue chasing greatness, continue chasing reality, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.